Education 466 was the first real class that I have taken in the education department. This class was the most intense learning and training of becoming a teacher for me. I will talk about teaching art and the Expeditionary Learning School Polaris, peer teaching, one of my strengths of the semester, lesson plans, and the blog. For me, teaching the first graders at Polaris Expeditionary Learning School was an amazing learning experience. I've never been in a school situation where I needed to prove learning as well as be able to show their learning. This semester, Polaris taught me how to recognize and acknowledge the interest of students, classroom management, and how to create well-defined objectives. When Katie and I created this unit, thinking that the students would be different surveyors of land, bugs, nature, and unreal nature. During our Bugs in a Jar lesson 2, students were so engaged that there was a silence that came over the classroom without us saying anything. The students were so engaged that we extended this lesson so that they would have more time to create bugs. There were a few times this semester when students were loud and crazy, but controlled. This was for the same reason. Students were excited when we went from 2D to 3D in Lesson 4. Giving Katie and I feedback, students said that this was their favorite project because of the 3D creations. If I were to change something in our unit that didn't have the students as engaged as Lesson 2 or 4, it would be to make Lesson 1 and 3 have more 3D elements or change the materials so that they are unexpected. This is so the students have a chance to engage and process, stretch and explore, and envision. Classroom management during lesson 1 was about building rapport with the students, getting to know how every student needs something different in order to be successful. It is important for connecting for the entire semester. This was something we had to keep up all semester. Students had to know that we would know what would happen when we asked for attending skills, or rang the bell once versus twice. Attending skills helped students be able to express their work in the class circle, talk to a peer, give feedback, have critical listening skills, but we were tested with a substitute. Students had more trouble with our home teacher not being there, but because we already had this rapport with the students and had expectations still, they were able to have a great, successful day of art. Students needed that structure before getting into lesson 4 because that loud, controlled crazy would have not shown students being engaged, it would have shown students being crazy. For me, my experience with being with children from summer camps really helped me with my classroom management. I already had a lot of skills with management, so teaching this semester gave me a reminder of how to deal with behavior and how students are different. This allowed students to observe, understand the world, reflect, and express. For me, learning how to create well-defined objectives was like the creative process. And this process was the hardest to learn by far. Understanding and observing Patrick's video on creating objectives and ending up watching them twice and still quite not understanding how to create objectives was difficult. This was after exploring and engaging with objectives for 1 or 2 lessons and not quite understanding how to make them well defined. The peer teaching is really what helped me develop my craft. Going over each one individually and trying to figure out how to make the objective relevant. This process helped me for the rest of the lessons for first grade. Objectives were easier to write and more precise, but not always perfect. With time and practice, my objectives will grow to be stronger and become a strength of mine. Creating my unit and lesson plan for my peer teaching by myself really allowed me to reflect on what I could do well and what I needed to work on. Having well-defined objectives helps the student know what the teacher is looking for, as well as for the teacher knowing what to look for the assessment. During this learning process of this class, I have been willing to learn new things, and I think that's one of my strengths for this whole class. From lesson plans, blogs, actually teaching, all of the new material, creating a peer teaching lesson by myself, and learning about all the work that it takes to putting it together. Lesson plans were completely new for me, and I think from our first lesson plan to our last, you can see the growth of objectives, pre and post assessment, Raft, using the Colorado Standards for Visual Arts, how to incorporate literacy, technology, and numeracy, and the 21st century skills. Lesson plans also gave Katie and I a reason to demonstrate and advocate for art in our first grade class. With research of new and different contemporary artists to inspire the students by using unexpected materials, reflections in class circle, and artwork produced by the students gave us a way to advocate art to a homeroom teacher. Creating the blogs and showing students learning not only for us but for the principal, parents, and students gave me a chance to persist with learning a new website and how to create a website that is easy to navigate. The blog was also a way to advocate for art. Throughout the semester, Polaris and peer teaching was a way to put into practice what we had been learning in class. Creating lesson plans, unit plans, and the blog were also ways of understanding the class as a whole. This semester taught me how to be a teacher, how to prepare to be a teacher, and how to act like a teacher. I look forward to being accepted into the master's program here at Colorado State University.